Well, good morning. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. Looks can be deceiving. Although she's chilly outside, the sun's been out and clear blue skies most of the morning, but they're calling for freezing rain tonight. That's supposed to change to snow, and the long-term forecast is calling for 6 or 7 days of snow. You and I both know the forecasts aren't always accurate, but I got that decision point. I get to that decision point every year at this time. So you're always taking a bit of a risk. If that forecast is wrong, that means I could have had my grapple or the fell for a little bit longer before I need the blower. If it's right though, I'll be really happy I put it on today. We're gonna put it on today. So here's what we're gonna do to get winter ready. We're gonna drop the fell, get that put away, gonna head into the shed. I'm gonna get my sub mount connected up underneath the tractor, mount the front snowblower, get all my hydraulics in order and connected. I'm gonna throw my quick hitch on the back and then mount my hydraulic rear blade. And then we'll just give it a little bit of a run, make sure the hydraulics work and I've got no leaks. And then we just have to wait for the snow. I hope you'll stick around. Cheers. Before you remove your hydraulic couplers, make sure to cycle your joystick, get that pressure out of the hoses. You want to take your key, turn it to the accessory position only, turn on your hydraulics, and cycle it. Into float and out of float. Now you can remove them. What I usually do is I just throw a tarp over this. A couple of years what I've done is I've taken a plastic bag and tie wrapped it around this just to kind of keep water out. But if you do want to do that, make sure you put a slit in the bottom of the bag, because otherwise over time, no matter how tight you tie wrap it, water eventually somehow gets in and you'll end up with your connectors in a big block of ice. Let's go get the snowblower. If you're like myself and you don't have a garage, you've got, an open shed like I do here, or a lot of your equipment sits outside, try if you can to make sure that you keep this stuff tarped until you're ready to put it on the tractor. If we had snow and ice before I put this on, I can tell you from experience, it's very difficult to put these components onto the tractor when they're covered in ice and crusty snow. So it's worth the time to just tarp them up in the event that you do get the ice and snow before you get them on. That way they're nice and clean and ready to go. Remember, with this new K-Connect system, there are actually 2 pins that hold it up underneath. One in the front and one in the back. They'll only go in one way. This guy in the back slides in from this side. The one in the front slides in from this side. Your hydraulics are going to feed underneath this back bar, and there's like a little hanger in the back. So do the hoses from the main blower. Okay, she's on the hinges. In order to get this pin back here, you need to turn your wheels slightly to the left to leave a little more room for the pin to fit in. Our front pin's going to come in from this side now. Should fit. There we go. This way. Good. Hopefully you can see it, but as you can tell, I've got the hydraulic hoses. I put them in behind this piece. I've hooked them onto this hanger, and that allows the hoses to reach around and onto your valve body. Let's get our drive shaft on here. Remember, this kind of long piece is the one that goes on the spline here. Gives you a little bit of flexibility so you can attach it to the PTO end of your tractor. There we go. Okay, sleeve back, push hard, wait for the click. There's the click, give her a nice tug. She's good. In order to get the blower on, we're going to need to connect these two hoses because that's going to give us our lift and our drop. So you just want to take them off, put them on their corresponding valves, test it, and then we can push into the snowblower. Okay, we're ready to mount the snowblower. Two last things. You want to make sure your hoses are out of the way, of course, but you want to pull these two big pins out. There's actually a little lock in there to keep them back because these are going to slide into place after you've mounted the subframe. And you need to pull this all the way back. Let's see what I can do with it, I guess. My two pins are in now. One thing I will say about this blower, super easy to connect. As you can see, I always have to go to the front again to push it onto its hinges, and that's because I've got it up off the ground on a pallet, so I think the angle of approach is wrong. This big pin on the other side always goes in super easy. This guy here, I gotta coax him. I've only done it twice, but I gotta shake the unit to try to get it to find it, to get it all the way into the hole. Not the end of the world. Our final mechanical connection, need to remember to take this sleeve up, lock it into place. And now the four-way is connected, and I think we're in good shape. Time to hook up our hoses. First, we're going to hook up the two hoses that allow the chute to turn left to right, which are going to be our last two valve body connections. According to the manual and to what I discussed with the dealer, these hoses are supposed to come down and be tie wrapped and just follow these hoses from the K-Connect unit all the way through and under and back to the valve body. Pretty simple. They're nice and long. Not so sure the other hoses are going to make it. Yeah. Always cycle that joystick before you remove or attach anything. Hey, the main valve body's hooked up. These hoses are definitely not going under there. So I guess similar to what I had to do on the B2601, I'm going to have to tie wrap them or take them through the guard here in order for them to reach. Not a lot of room there. That's too bad. Interesting. Yeah, so we'll tie wrap those up to the guard, just like we had to do on the old tractor. Put them up here. So my blower's all hooked up. Super easy, far easier than the old subframe. Before I go ahead and start tie wrapping these all up and keep them down, I'm gonna have to test it out, make sure I have all my hoses on the right valves. And then after that, I'll color code them, tie wrap them all up, and secure them for the winter. Let's get the rear of the tractor looked after. Looking forward to having these hydraulics back here this year. Never had remotes before. I think I told you folks before, these are kind of funny, the way they work. They're not like the normal connectors. The slip ring is actually inside. You have to kind of push them in really far and they click into place. Then when you want them out, you push them in and they click back out. This was a really helpful suggestion from one of our subscribers. Suggested I put an elbow in here so that it goes down underneath my quick hitch. Thanks a million. Great idea. Okay, I believe they're in. Okay, that's it. Moment of truth. Let's test the blower first. There are two main drawbacks to having this front mount blower. The first is price. They are not cheap. And trust me, if I didn't have a mile-long driveway and nowhere to push snow, I would have picked up a snow pusher or a front snow blade. Second one is once you get that loader off and mount this blower, you've pretty much lost your front end loader for the rest of the winter. Especially when you don't have a nice toasty garage to swap the fell back on if you need it during the winter. A really important note, which happened to me, if this is your first year with either your tractor and snowblower or you've decided finally to buy a front mount snowblower, real important note, don't forget, Kubota is unlike some of the other models, not only have a detent to push your loader into float, but remember there's a detent when you dump the loader as well. These snowblowers, for some reason, when you turn your chute to the left, you pull in your curl. When you go to push it to make it go to the right, if you don't pump it into the detent, the chute's not going to move. So unlike me, don't think something's broken. Don't forget you got to push into the detent to get the chute to turn right. A couple of last things before we wrap up today. I want to appreciate the people that suggested this. Went over to Princess Auto, got a couple of colored cable ties, because you'll find sometimes with some equipment, they're not marked. You don't have any tags on them with colors to match your valve body, so this way I'll be able to tag those lines. And don't forget, make sure you've got a couple of spare shear pins in the tractor with you. I also recommend you get a little punch, because sometimes when the bolt shears, the bolt doesn't come out. And this way you'll be able to punch it out. And of course, make sure you have the right wrenches with you in the back of the tractor so you can change it out on the fly. Wow, I don't mind mentioning, I'm feeling like a bit of a kid at Christmas. And a little spoiled, to be honest. But everything's working. It doesn't look like I've got any leaks. I'm going to check my valve body, check the rears just one more time. I'm looking forward to see how much snow it can throw at that chute. Well, I think I might have been right. I've already had a few snowflakes hit me. Thanks so much for sticking around. I really appreciate hanging out with you today. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting videos, just click that little bell. Have a wonderful and safe week with your families. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you again when it snows. Cheers.